So, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 1 Point Safety Show with myself, Scott Hartley, and my glorious co-host, Scouse Andy. How are you, mate? All recovered or not at all?
Nah, mate, still struggling, man. I blame you for it as well. So
Yeah, it's all my fault. In case you can hear, we've
it's
returned
sneaking this
from
cold/COVID type shit that's going on.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
we've returned from the good old US of A with me with a cold. Cold sores everywhere, and I think I've given Scouse COVID. So yeah, not ideal situation. I haven't got COVID, but we've got a bit of a cold.
But
So
you,
bit
oh,
jet lagged. Still, yeah, I was feeling it today at work. Still, Scouse, and just talking off air. I think you were too. I think we're all
jet lag,
struggling a little
jet lag
bit.
is real, man. People think, it's a load of shit. No, it really is. When it hits you properly, you know about it.
I think being up
Absolutely.
30, I think being up 30 plus hours both sides probably didn't help. Being up that late on the Friday, and then also being up that late on the on the way back on the Monday. Yeah, we won't talk about our travel plans on the way home.
Yeah,
Absolute
nightmare.
chaos is all I'm going to say. I'm glad everyone got home safe and sound in the end, even though it was delayed and some, including Mr. Burrows, went to a different airport altogether. But yeah, it was a bit of a disaster coming home, but good going out, terrible coming home. But I'm sure we'll get onto that a bit. So anyway, then Scouts, we were there for week one, and it was a win. It was 1-0 is all you can think about, despite the so-called yes, we're going to absolutely smash the Cardinals. It's going to be one of them where we're looking at it going, yeah, this is exactly what we're going to do. But 2016 win, not obviously convincing or as convincing as people thought. Overall, what were your thoughts, mate?
I thought there was good and bad in the game, and that was to be expected. At the end of the day, we won the game, as you mentioned before. We won the game. There was some good positives, and there was some bads as well, if that makes sense. So bad negatives. Um, at the game itself, I was calling for Wiley's head. I wanted the offensive line was sucked. It looked like it was really bad. There was 6 sacks given up. But then when you start to watch the game back, the next day, a couple of days after, you start to notice that it wasn't the offensive line. It wasn't all on them for half of those sacks. So there was an element of Sam involved or holding to the ball too long. Not picking the right pass at the right time. So just decision making a little bit there from them, from Sam, and I just think kind of it's just we are just gonna get better gradually over a period of time. So I'm happy that we're learning on the go, but we're winning on the go, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm happy about, even though
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't a
think
big performance, but I'll take a win any day.
exactly. I think you're right. When you want to know, it doesn't matter how you get it. You can always learn. I'd rather learn 1-0 than learn 0-1. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was a close fought game. I mean, Sam Howell, 202 yards, 19 of 31, a 61.3 completion rating, one TD, one rushing TD, one interception, 6 sacks, a fumble recovery, and 11 yards rushing. So, bit of an up and down performance from Sam. I mean, the ball to um, Curtis Samuel down the sideline, unbelievable. I've never seen a ball like that before. And then the throw to B Rob for the touchdown where he threaded it through the window. That was a
Yeah,
totally
there was 5 guys
unscripted play.
closed on Howell there, and he diced him with one throw. So as I'm saying, this is why I'm so hyped about Howell, because he's got all the talent. You know what I mean? He's got all the talent you need to be, a top level performer in the NFL. He just needs to he just needs to get a bit more experience, really. And I think sometimes there he thinks he could take a hit, but I think this game just gone let him know, like, no, I should not be taking these hits big time, because these guys go headhunting for
Yeah.
QBs. Do you know what I mean? Especially when you become a runner, they're gonna try and hit you as hard as they can. So, you got to be careful. You got to really look after yourself. And I think there's a few times there where Sam thinks he'd get away with it, and they're going to be a little bit like the defense to be a bit lenient on him as he's going to slide or things like that, or run into the sideline. No, they're going to hit you hard, and they let him know. They let him know welcome to the NFL, and I think that probably caused some of the problems with Howell's quick decision making. I do think that was definitely played a part.
Yeah, I'm not saying he was concussed, but I just don't think he was right Do you know what I mean? As soon as
Yeah,
after
he
taking
was
that
making
first
throws
hit,
that he would never that we've never seen him make. As it not, I mean, like in good ways. I mean, like making poor decisions that in every game we've seen him play preseason, last off season. Yeah, sorry, the last season's game. Sorry, last game of the season last year. He wasn't making those type of poor decisions. You know what I mean? And I just think when he got his bell rung, I think that was it. I think he just kind of, he just maybe he wasn't seeing it perfectly. Maybe he was just a split second slower, which obviously in the NFL that costs you. You know what I mean? It costs you more sacks. It costs you more. It costs you more problems. So, yeah. So I just think that was a big thing that kind of was to the detriment of Sam, shall we call it?
yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, you're right in what you're saying. Your eyes lie, especially when you sat. We had really good seats and we were watching the game. And yeah, I was the same as you. I was sitting there thinking this O line is just horrid. You know what I mean? What are we doing? It's the same as last season. And then when you look back at it and you watch it, you actually realize that Sam Cosmi had a really good game. Sadiq Charles kind of had a very good game as well. He didn't really put much of a foot wrong. Leno, decent. The only really downside from the offensive line, I know Gates gave up a sack, but it was Wiley.
Yeah,
Overall, it was
Wiley was
Wiley.
bad. Wiley was bad.
Which just
Cosby trying to hold his own, because Wiley wasn't doing the business. The biggest problem I thought, though, after watching it back, I thought that the biggest problem was the communication between protections, and that's
yeah.
on Gates. That is, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And slash somehow, depending on who's actually calling the protections at that point. Usually, to make it a bit easy for the young quarterback, normally has the center to do it. Usually,
Mm-hmm.
so no, so that really should be on Nick Gates. But again, as you know, some QBs do call the protections themselves. So it just depends really. But I think it's an element of both really that cause some big problems there. But they need to clear that up. They need to be like, as one. They need
Yeah,
those
it's
five
totally
guys
in tandem, don't
that
they?
close that when you're the guy's gonna fart. You know what I mean? Like that's how close they've got to be on the same page all times on the game. And at the moment we're not. But again, the first game of the season, we didn't really play that many snaps together as a first team offensive line. So, it was a great no, but as I say, we got the job done just about. So I can't complain too much about that.
What did you think of the running game, though? Overall, we've got stats here. We've got Brian Robinson, 59 yards off 19 carries. Antonio Gibson, 3 carries, 9 yards. And obviously, we can get on to Antonio Gibson as well in a minute. But yeah, what was your thoughts on the running game?
Well, the running game was pretty stale, really, wasn't it? I mean, let's face it. The offensive line actually produced some decent holes. When you look back at it, he did produce some decent holes, but our running backs didn't see it. Now that kind of shocked me really because one thing about B Rob is his vision. So I
Mm-hmm.
was really shocked that he couldn't really find those holes, when they were being created, and he wasn't hitting that hole hard. Gibson, as we know with Gibson, he should never run them between the tackles. He's not a running back.
Mm-hmm.
He's built like one. Yeah, okay, he's 6'2", he's 230 or whatever, 220, but he's actually a receiver. He was always a receiver, never a running back. He was a receiver in college. We should play him more as he's a third down back or as an actual receiver. Because every time he fumbles, it's always in between the tackles when 3 or 4 guys are trying to punch it out of him. And that's
So
what happened.
Canada, Mike asked us a question on this. He said, Gibson, is your heart in your mouth every time he gets the ball? Now, I wouldn't go
Not
that
every
far
time, but every time he runs it through the middle,
in the
yeah, I'm
middle.
talking
Yeah,
about that
100%.
because yeah, he's been proven that he can't handle it when 3 or 4 guys are punching at the ball at the same time.
No,
But again,
I,
it's a
I'll let
natural.
our listeners. I'll
He's
let
not
our
a running
listeners
back.
know here as well, Scouse. I'll let our listeners know here that I listened to you and Burrows talking about that conversation. Saying, "Hey, here's Gibson running up the middle. This is going to end badly." And then 2 plays later, what happens?
Yeah, he fumbled in the
He
red zone.
fumbles the ball.
That's just disaster. You can't do that in the NFL, man. Get away with it that often. You just really. I mean, we got away with it,
That's
but
his
I
seventh
think it cost us
fumble, I
seven
think now.
points. It cost us the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
it's
can't,
not.
and that's why Gibson got kicked out the rest of the match. He didn't. He didn't really get any more plays after that, did he? At all? I don't think so.
No, they went to Rodriguez as well quite a bit after that. I mean, I know they did bring him back into the game, Gibson, but it was more on
No ball.
on
Yeah, he
on,
was
on
just like a
slants. It wasn't anything through the middle at all.
smoke
So
screen, wasn't he? Because he didn't get
yeah,
a ball, did he? After that, so
I know.
I just think you've got to play him right. You can't be over smart. You can't overthink it with this guy. Oh, we know he doesn't like running it up the middle. So what we'll do is on to try and trick your the defense running up the middle. No, just don't do that with him because he will let you down at some point. He will. Get him out in space, give him the ball to run. That's why the third down back scenario is perfect for him, and let him beat some plays with his speed. Now just utilize him better. You know what I mean?
So Curtis Samuel, 5 receptions, 5 targets, 54 yards. He was our highest receiver at the weekend. Logan Thomas, 4 receptions, 8 targets. Few drops there for Logan as well. 43 yards. And then Jahan Dotson, 5 receptions out of 7 targets for 40 yards. Obviously, I haven't put McLaurin on it. He was 31 yards in total for Terry. For me, when I watched Terry, just didn't look like Terry. Didn't look right at all for me. I think he was out there because he thought, I've got to be out here, turf, toe and all. I just didn't think Terry looked right. Maybe that was designed that way. Maybe it was Sam not being confident, holding onto the ball too long, not seeing the route running. But what did you think on the wide receivers then?
Yeah, he did just enough. And then that's all you can say. He did enough. He weren't great. None of them were spectacular. There's a few nice little catches here and there, but most of it was, pretty standard receivers, really standard receiving play. Sam was reasonably accurate. I think if you counted the 3 drops that Logan Thomas did, yes, okay, 2 of them were under pressure, but you get both hands on the ball, you got to catch it. It's as simple as that. Just 3 drops there. So if you include them as say as receptions and actually caught passes, then Sam Howell was about 68% on completion percentage at that point. So you can't really, you can't complain because that's not on Sam. That's on Logan. So okay, the percentage drop, but it hurts Sam more than Logan. But I just think we do what it takes to win. I think that's what the enemy mentioned at the start of his when he first came here. We'll do whatever it takes to win. And that includes being boring, vanilla, running up the middle, or
I think people got pissed off halfway through, didn't they? They got pissed off about third quarter there or thereabouts, where it just seemed like we were stalling, weren't really going anywhere. And then when it come towards the end of the game, it was like, no, we're going to run this clock out. We're going to make sure that we don't give them a chance to win.
We want to see explosive players. You want to see.
Of course we do.
We want to put step on their guys' throats and keep it there. Those type of things. I get it. And I was frustrated watching it live. I was like, man, do something a little different than just running up the middle and getting 1 yard, because they're the stack in the box, knowing full well that you're going to be running the ball up the middle. But again, take the emotion out of it. You know why he did it that way? To run the clock. He played the percentages. Our defense wasn't giving up anything. Especially that fourth quarter. I mean, they weren't even getting more than, I think, a first down. You know what I mean?
Ridiculous, wasn't it?
Never mind trying to get them to try and get 7 points. So, so I understand what he did, and obviously it was the right choice because we won. So, you can't knock the guy for doing it doing it right, even though it wasn't very exciting.
Yeah, so we'll move on to the defense then, Scouse. I mean, looking at this, I've got a couple of standout players here, which we'll talk through, but you couldn't say anybody on that defense had a poor game at all. The only thing you could possibly come up with is say there's probably 3 dropped interceptions, one for Cam Curl, one for Percy Butler, and one for Emmanuel Forbes at the end there. Honestly, I thought every single person to a man played fantastic on that defense. Especially in that last quarter, they were unbelievable when they all went down. Obviously, you've got to talk about Montez Sweat: 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 forced fumbles. Man was on fire.
That was the what's we're looking for, the momentum shift. Was that first one, because before we got the first sack, strip fumble, back, because we weren't creating shit. I mean, our defense held them up, but he weren't getting pressure on the ball. Dobbs was having an easy day, even though he wasn't really slicing and dicing us, because let's face it, he's not a very good quarterback. But he didn't have a lot of pressure in his face up until kind of the last couple of minutes of the third quarter and then the fourth, and when he really got at him, and I think, I mean, that changed the game, because I felt they were driving a little bit, and then Montez came up with that, and I thought, this is it now. That gave us the boost we needed, got the fans up again, and then we marched down the field. So that's what big players do. They show up at the big moments and create either a big turnover or a huge play in whatever way it is, and to get your team to be more motivated again, more focused, and you end up winning the game. That's what leaders do.
Yeah, John Allen with an awkward, like backwards sack that karate chop sack. I mean, if you can sack someone backwards, yeah, you're doing the job. I mean, I've watched that back, and
he has done it. So.
He is unbelievable. Daron Payne again stood out for me. He was great. I actually thought Emmanuel Forbes had a really good game. When I watched it back again, I kind of concentrated on what Emmanuel Forbes was doing, obviously being our rookie first round pick. I thought we'd look specifically at him. And yeah, he held his own. Yeah, of course, all corners are going to get burnt at some point. There was one, I think, to Rondale Moore where he got burnt down the sideline. But his tackling was exceptional. And that is one thing I did notice, is the tackling was completely different from a technique standpoint. It looked more like they were tackling almost like rugby players tackle. There's none of this hands over the top and we'll push them out of bounds and we'll let them slide. It was full tackles. You hit them round the waist and you drive forward. Everyone was doing that to a man. And I thought, you know what? This is working. They've clearly put the effort in there. So this defense is legitimately everything we thought it was going to be. I know you said it could be the top unit in the entire NFL.
Could be.
I don't have a problem with that.
I think there's one guy who needs to sort himself out though for next week, and that's Cody Barton. I thought he was the worst player on defense by far. He was getting bullied by a lot of different guys. Blocked way out the way when the run plays. I just think he needs to toughen up a little bit or be a little stronger in certain areas at certain times.
And do you think that's because it's his debut in new system, maybe, that he hasn't maybe
I'm hoping he gets better. He's meant to be a tackling machine. I mean, he did that last year. He was over 100 tackles for Seattle. But again, that doesn't mean shit if he gets bullied off the ball.
Yeah,
you're not going to make any tackles, are you? Let's face it. So he needs to sort that out.
I saw that when I watched it back. I mean, live, honestly, did I really notice Cody Barton? No, not for a good thing or a bad thing. Others I didn't notice
as well. Jermaine Davis was getting pulled out and put back in.
Mm-hmm.
And Barton was in all the time, and Barton just didn't do anything. I just thought if he wasn't there, you wouldn't have missed him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, shout out to Abdullah Anderson as well. I thought he performed exceptional. He did contribute 4 snaps, and he came in with a tackle for loss and half a sack out of that. I mean, come on, mate, you are, and you were pretty much 4th choice, you F.A. Obada's replacement, and here you are going, you know what, I'm going to take my opportunity while I can. So fair play to you. He did really well. For Percy Butler had a good game.
That's all you can do. If you're a guy like that, when you get the limited amount of snaps you are going to get, make the most of them, and that's
exactly.
So because that makes the defense, the coaches think, maybe this guy should be elevated in the roster in the lineup. So, yeah, man, that's exactly what he should be doing.
He was very good, I thought, and and then Percy Butler, I thought, had a really good game. Kendall Fuller with a good breakup. St. Juice played well. I thought all the DBs were pretty decent.
The defense played well. Let's face it.
Yeah.
They only. How much did it give up points wise? I think the defense was only 9, wasn't it?
6 or 9. Yeah, 9 points. No, 6 points. If you take away the
fumble
picks
7
and the fumble,
So that's 9 points, isn't it?
Yeah, 9 points.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So, that's you can't argue with that. I mean, that's how good that's top level defense. I know we're taking on the team that wasn't great on offense. I know that. They are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year, sure. But at this moment, they are still fired up. They're still professional football players at the end of the day. These guys are not going to want to tank straight away. You know what I mean? And you can tell by, skill wise and man for man, they weren't wow, but they still got some decent players there, and they will lay the wood.
Yeah, I agree.
They did, and that's what he did. They tried to hurt our guy. If he's dirty tackles, I'm not going to lie there. That the referees let go away. Which is leading to my sizzle in a minute. But yeah, man, I just think the Giants game for them next week, man, that's not going to be no pushover.
No,
hell yeah,
they
might shock the Giants.
And maybe do you think that's partly to do with coaching as well, and partly to do with the fact that you've got a brand new coach, you haven't seen the game plan, you haven't seen what the quarterback's like, who's been in the system for 2 weeks. new offensive coordinator, do new defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
Everyone thinks they're tanking.
It's not there. There's nothing you can really go off.
No,
You just go off some certain guy's skill set. That's all you can kind of look at and go, okay, well, what does Josh Jobs do? Well, he's good at this and that. Okay. But you don't know what scheme they're going to put out there because he's been there 2 weeks and they've got a lot of their players that you would normally look at from last season's tape. They weren't there anymore. So it's kind of like, so for preparation wise, it was difficult for Sam as well and all the guys, really. And it took us a while to get into our stride.
Totally agree with you. I mean, I listened to Kyle's pod from the Burgundy Zone before, and he was mentioning you've got to be careful of Isaiah Simmons. He's probably one of the only players that they've got
Zaven Collins as well.
Zaven Collins, and you're thinking to yourself, you know what, there he is picking a pick. You're like,
so I mean, the guy
straight away. Sorry, not Isaiah Simmons. It's Zaven Collins.
But the Baker's still there. Very good safety. So there's. They weren't just all trash, you know what I mean? Like, but we are all talking down to them. And I bet you that pissed them off. Pissed them off. Thinking, you're going to come in here and think, what, Commanders are going to try and hammer us, are they? No chance. And we didn't. We didn't hammer them.
Just enough to win is just enough to win. 1-0 is 1-0, mate, and that's all you need, really.
100%, man. Hey, I'll take that every week if it means you win.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. I mean? Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've got a bit of news then, Scouts. Not a huge amount this week, but obviously a bit of NFL news overall. We've got the expansion of the practice squads now to include an international player for every one of the 32 teams. So from next year,
that one.
100%, because it means that FA can hang about. So I'm quite pleased with that.
The FA is going to be staying with us, though.
I don't know that. That's for sure. Yeah, but anyway, it is what it is. But I know I thought it was really good news. It's great news for people who are, who are not going through the traditional college route of the NFL. It's great for the NFL Academy that we have in London, that people out there who are getting D1 scholarships can go into the D1 schools and then take it from there onto the rosters of the teams, which is fantastic to look at. You don't always have to go down that college route. Look, I'm sure there's some basketball players out there who are going to be unbelievable players in the NFL. They just need to understand and learn the game, which it's difficult to do. I get that, and it's difficult to make it, especially like we look at players like Christian Wade, who's been across, Alex Gray, who's been across, both gone across from rugby, and neither of them made it. Christian Wade's the highest bloody try scorer in the whole of rugby union in the Guinness Premiership, and he couldn't crack the Bills 53. So it's tough. It's difficult. It's really, really difficult to get on that roster. But fair play to the NFL for bringing this initiative in and saying that all 32 teams can have an extra practice squad player, which is great. Other bit of news then from Broken today. I'm sure Burrows is happy with this. Obviously, extended at Spurs now for 2 games per season. The NFL's extended their agreement with Spurs, Tottenham Hotspur, until 2029-2030 season. So there's going to be 2 games a season over then. Yeah, we've got a little bit of inside word that we could potentially be one of them next year, Scouts.
I think it's possible. I think we are due for a European game.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope it's not. I just hope it's not Mexico, because that'd be classic.
Yeah, or Germany.
Yeah, Germany would be a nightmare for us because obviously they are just as big into it as the UK people are.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, fair play to the Germans.
The tickets to be like absolute gold dust. I mean, it's bad enough now over here, but getting to Germany, you'd have no chance. I mean, unless you really know people, which, some of us do, but still, that's still be a difficult problem. You know what I mean?
100%, mate. 100%.
Keep it in the UK. Keep it in the UK, guys.
I agree. So we'll go on then to Scousey Sizzle. We'll hand over to Iron Mike Tyson, who'll introduce Scousey Sizzle.
Scousey Sizzle, baby.
Okay, so my sizzle is all about the referees this time around. I mean, what the hell are they playing at? End of the day, right? The quarterback is the main merchandise on the field. They are the number one. I don't care if the 5th rounder. I don't care if they're getting paid $60 million a year like Burrow is now. All those types of things. They are the prime merchandise on the field. They're the one that keeps the NFL actually, exciting to watch type of thing, right? So what do our referees do? They allow our guy to get headhunted about 4 times in the game, and with only they call the foul, but where's the ejections? So these guys were going, especially that first one from Kazia White. That was a disgrace. He's out of bounds and he hits him with the crown of his helmet. He should have been gone. And he should be suspended. Never mind, fined. He should have been suspended. And that was early on in the game as well. And nothing happened besides a 15-yard penalty. Now, the referees need to get a grip, man. You need to stop taking the piss because they're going to get guys really hurt. You know, guys who can't play ever again because of this shit-ass refereeing. So, you know, they need to get a fucking grip of themselves, man. Now, I don't know who it is you got to speak to. Is it Goodell or whoever it is? Got to get it done. They got to get a meeting together with these refs, man. I don't know if it's like make them professional or what, or is it, I don't know what the actual, you know, is, but you know, that's out of order. That's an instant ejection. You got to start ejecting players for shit like that because that's just totally out of order. It's uncalled for. You know, not about the other guy. You hit him with a headbutt.
The headbutt, yeah.
It was that sneaky. No one even seen it live at the time. Sneaky play. What's instant replay for? I mean, NFL has instant replay for near enough every single thing, but besides something like this, where you're actually going to get a guy's head knocked off, especially the prime merchandise like a quarterback.
And that was about 5 minutes after the first one, Scout.
Yeah,
so
and
just,
then
he just ran in.
He got what was it, like headlock with some guy's feet?
Yeah.
And tried to climb onto the floor with his legs. Like, what's going on with this? Like, what are they doing? What are the referees seeing? You're obviously seeing the foul, but they're not doing anything about it. But with the actual players who were causing the foul.
Well, then they knocked out the line judge.
Yeah, and even broke one of the guys, the line judge's arm, I think, as well, because he was white.
Yeah, I know.
Our guy, and ran right through the line judge on the side. Like, what is going on? Why aren't these referees being more kind of, you know, harsh and saying, look, man, you play our way. You don't fuck around here. You know, anything dodgy like that, you're going. As simple as that. You're getting ejected. It's as simple as that. But no, let's get our guy get killed. I bet you my house, if that was Pat Mahomes getting that done too, them guys would have been ejected. But because it's lowly Sam Howell and lowly Commanders, it's okay. It's all the bollocks, man.
Yeah, I agree. I
not
completely
happy,
agree with
not
you.
happy at all.
You were not happy.
I'll be going absolutely mental.
You were boiling when you came out the ground. You were absolutely fuming.
I was fuming. I was sitting here on the way home watching the highlights again. I was getting wound up again about it. Just how pissed off I was about, like, you meant to. The whole point of these new rules nowadays is to protect the quarterback. Do you know what I mean? And I know you can understand. Well, he was a runner, blah blah blah. Mate, he was running to the sideline. He wasn't going he wasn't going for 7. Do you know what I mean?
He gave himself up at that point.
He gave himself up. He slid for one of them. He got head under there. You know, you see what I mean? Like, it's just naughty, man. I can understand if he was trying to gain extra yards and actually be trying to protect himself as a runner. I get that. I understand being hit hard there. That's fine. He decided to get himself in that position. But when it's shit like that happened, he's already been tackled. He's already going to the floor, and then these guys hit him again, like crown of the helmet shit. It's not on, man. It's just not on.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. We'll see what happens next week in Denver then. So we'll move on then to our weekend.
Wait a minute. Refs.
You're fucking trash.
There you go.
Absolutely. We'll give them that. So we'll move on to our weekend then. So the weekend as a whole started on Friday night where we went to the fan rally at Franklin Park. Really great evening. Obviously, thank you for the Commanders for putting it on. It was 2 hours of a bit of music and people walking around. You could meet some of the older alumni players. Some of the players were there as well. FAO Barda took our hat. I kind of gave him it, to be fair. And, I'm sure that restraining order's in the post. The other thing was, who else did we meet? Derek Forrest was there. Sam Cosme was there, who is absolutely enormous. Both tight ends, Cole Turner and John Bates, were also there. And then, we were very lucky. We were hanging around sort of backstage, and then we got a bit of a call through and a bit of a, why don't you guys come over here? So we thought, okay, we'll have a walk. Walked around the corner, and there's Josh Harris. Jason, obviously Jason Wright says, look, these guys have come all the way from the UK. Next thing you know, Josh Harris is shaking our hands and, getting some photos, which was just...
Yeah, that was cool,
man. It made my night. It was just ridiculous, like, to think, wow, this guy's just bought the team and here we are, just 2 dudes on a podcast, from the UK, shaking hands with the owner. We're not anybody.
Going in there and just going, having a chat with him for a couple of minutes and getting a couple of photos. It was ace, man.
It was brilliant, and it was absolutely brilliant. I mean,
it's been great to a lot of the podcasters, I think, over the past
few years. They have. And I've got to say that, you know, they've been unbelievable with us for the last 2 years. I cannot thank them enough for what they've done for us and others who were around. You know, Paul Medley and you know the lad from Scotland. I can't remember his name for the life of me now, but you know, and he brought his kid. They're really good to everybody who's travelled, you know, from a long way. And there is this fan base is real. You know, I mean, Saturday. We had golf. Well, the lads went golfing, didn't they, for about four holes and didn't really go anywhere.
We definitely made the right choice there, didn't we?
Yeah, 100%. We went in. There was a massive storm in DC the night before. About 3 o'clock in the morning, everyone was asleep apart from me and Jesse, who stayed with us for the whole weekend. And we've got to shout out Jesse from the Bleeding Burgundy pod, who is an unbelievable friend. It was. You know, it was like going back and just being like we'd had a conversation 4 minutes ago. You know, it was just absolutely normal and it was brilliant. But this storm was ridiculous. It was actually making the house shake. You two were sound asleep, which was brilliant. So we made the right decision on Saturday not to go golfing because obviously the ones who did got rained off. And then Saturday night, we were in Rocket Bar in the middle of DC with Keith Gray. A bit of shenanigans afterwards, lots of getting Keith drunk, which was, you know, fantastic. He let his hair down for once, which was great to see. And again, it's like having your best friend with you, you know what I mean? Who you haven't seen him for a little while. And then Sunday, topping it off, the tailgate with, you know, LJ, the Mad Hatter on Twitter, you know, meeting Maddie Jane, you know, Freddie was there. We had Parker Hamlet there.
Everybody
Pretty
was
much everybody was there. Steve Lim, doing his podcast from Command This Podcast, making all the sausages and stuff and the hot dogs for tailgating. He was ridiculous. Absolutely love. Yeah, they were good. They were great. They were a great eye opener. And then, you know, hog farmers, hanging out with all the hog farmers, hung out at Hog Farmer Jeff on Saturday, which was great. And you know, yeah, unbelievable weekend. Really. His wife is amazing. I mean, she can drink as well. So yeah, fair play to her. Just help Keith out a bit by necking a pint. So fair play to her. But yeah, great weekend. And then top it all off, field passes, which the team did not have to do. Turned up and here you go. Here's some team passes, and I'm like, what? Okay, so straight down onto the field, and you know we were literally 5 meters from Ron Rivera, Chase Young, players warming up next to us, Charles Leno, Nick Gates. I was lucky I got a photo with Ryan Kerrigan, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was sneaky. That was like it was my sneaky photo. Couldn't get on
them. Yeah, no, it was very sneaky. Man. But yeah, ridiculous. And obviously we didn't have to do that. And then to sit with all the podcasters. So we had like the guys from the Bleeding Burgundy, John Taman, his son out. We had Jesse, we had you guys from the bunker. We had Kyle and Hall from the Burgundy Zone. We had Freddie, HTTC. We had Parker as well from there. And then we had, who else did we have there? Just loads. Everyone you could possibly think of was in 305. And what an atmosphere it was. What an absolute atmosphere. It was like, I genuinely think it's like you're just sitting there with friends. Like these people are, the Twitter is a world of a cesspit of nothingness. I really thank the people who, you know, took the time to wrote in questions to us today, and we will go through them. And that's the great side of Twitter, but it's a negative cesspit of arseholes. Let's be honest with you. That is 1% of this fan base.
Is that why you're on there then?
That's why I'm on there, obviously, yeah. But in all seriousness, though, the relationships that we've built up through this franchise and going to see these people year on year, just you can't bottle that feeling, you know, when people are there. I mean, Burrows walking around like he's some sort of fucking D-list celebrity off Love Island.
Let's you know, it was just call him
Z-lister. No, he just kept kissing babies and getting stops, you know, everywhere.
Yeah, everyone wanted a picture with him, wanted to speak to him.
Ridiculous, yeah.
He loved the fame, he loved it, which is fair enough. You know, I think
it was funny.
But it's just like family. It's just like when it isn't just friends. It's like you get treated like you're part of the like genuinely part of the family. You know.
Yeah, I know.
Underhandedness. It's all like just very genuine, very nice people. You know, and just really great. And I'm really appreciative that they would actually take us and bring us into their kind of local family. Really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, looking at this, David Blacks asked us one of his questions. He said, "Did you go to the home opener last year, and what was the difference?" So I'll let you take that one, Scouse, as well.
We did go for the home opener last year and this year. The difference was probably about 30,000 people, I think. I think that was the difference. Last year we had about half full stadium, and I mean, that was more than usual at that point because there was there was this kind of a thought process that Dan's going to be gone soon anyway, so it was kind of one of those type of things where so some fans did come back a bit early, but I think 30,000 fans was a big difference, and the atmosphere. It wasn't just. It was just twice. It was just amazing this time round compared to the first time, and no, it was just everything was just heightened. Everything was just more upgraded this year. It was just a different level of optimism, and all the people around, for the most part, were all very positive about what's going to be about our future going forward. Well, last year was still a little bit like, well, still much of a muchness, just a new season with a new QB, and let's see how we go type thing. So this year was just different level optimism, different level. Everyone was all buying in. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think despite the weather, obviously when you started tailgating
last year as well,
it was a little bit rainy at times. 8 a.m. we got there, and even it's just the vibe. The vibe of the tailgate by about 10 o'clock.
Oh yeah, it was like
it was mental.
It was full, man. It was full, wasn't it? I mean, all the car parks are full, so
it was just brilliant, and the vibe was so much better. It was as if a weight had been lifted off every single person's shoulders, and that finally we have our fandom back and we have our franchise back. And as you said, the way you taken and in, the way you're stopping for pictures, the way people are celebrating, there was no segregation between people. There was nothing. There was no bad energy, which is what you wanted. There was absolutely no negativity, apart from a Ravens fan getting the 6-piece combo meal in the stands. But
he shouldn't be slapping a woman around, should he? Do you know what I mean?
Nah, yeah, I know what you're saying.
And that's what started it all off, I think. So what I read.
So there was a bit of aggro there. Up in the club section, where we were 305, it was the vibes again. All the podcasts around us was brilliant. The whole atmosphere was great. The amenities were pretty good. The upgrades that they've done to the stadium, you can clearly tell they've done stuff to the stadium. This $40 million,
sound
system was way better. You could hear everything that was going on.
Clear, man. It's crystal clear, which it wasn't previously.
And we've got rid of power up music from Super Mario, which is pretty good. Yeah, I was quite pleased with that as well.
That's true.
But
it was just different level. If you went to both of them to compare them, it's quite difficult.
It's really night and day, isn't it? Just so totally different,
man. But even the podcasters last year were still great with us, and so absolutely. I've got no problems from that angle. It was just that there was no. As you mentioned in the tailgate, it's just so much. It was just everyone was just free flowing. You know what I mean? Like there was no stress around. There was no kind of anger with the guys. It was just all like just all have a laugh and take a piss, and that's how it was. When all day, it was great.
Yeah, there wasn't a single miserable face. Everyone was smiling throughout it all.
Until the game time, then we start messing up. But yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, it was really good.
Commander's coverage. He's asked us a question, Scouts. He says, what's more important to the team, upgrading the linebackers or upgrading the offensive line?
For me, it's still upgrading the offensive line. As we mentioned earlier in this pod, Cody Barton was there, but he wasn't there because we didn't really notice him. That tells you how good our DBs are and how good our defensive line is, that you're not noticing your linebackers at all. So we can get away with that going on into the season, barring any injuries to our dudes, our main guys. But the offensive line still needs some work, man. It really does. I mean, you can say how much you want. I mean, again, we mentioned Arizona not a very good team, and again, that is the case. And yes, okay, some of our offensive linemen did play quite well. You look back at it, etc., etc. PFF grades, some are quite good. I think Cosme was really high ranked. But the end of the day, it's still against Josh Dobbs. Do you know what I mean? It's not against, a Pat Mahomes. It's not against the true elite quarterbacks, the Joe Burrows. Bring them guys over and see how good our offensive line lasts then against true elite pass rushers. When you're looking at, for example, Dallas has got some great pass rushers, so that'll be interesting when we take them on. There's a lot of teams with really good pass rushers. So again, 49ers, yeah, they're later on in the season, so everyone's team can be way different at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But something early on,
Philly, yeah, Philly. Not gonna be easy.
Oh, no,
yes, week 4. That is week 4.
That's right. We got Chicago after.
No, Bills next.
Oh, Bills. Sorry, yeah. So we've got
Bills at home on week 3.
Denver Bills, and
Denver Bills, Philly, then Thursday night football.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, so you're going to see some good pass rushers against us in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So let's watch this space and see how this whole line goes. That's why I'm still a little bit. I'm very worried about it. I don't think putting them up of 80, 90 grades against an Arizona Cardinals team that had some decent players but not great against a star-studded, pass rushing team and D lines like Philly have got, for example. It's night and day. So we're gonna see. That's gonna be the acid test. Seeing these guys in the next few weeks. But for me, I'd still like to get another offensive lineman in, like Dalton Risner.
Yeah, we said that.
I can't believe he's still out there. It must be his wages. That must be the reason.
It's got to be, yeah.
There. Because he's not too old. He's in his prime at 28, isn't he? He's 28.
28, yeah.
So he's in his prime. So it's got to be something else. He's not injured, so it's got to be his wages or his terms he wants.
I mean, interestingly on that, I mean, I didn't realise we only had £500,000 in cap space, and then
where did that go? I thought we had 15 mil. And then
I did too. And I asked this to Jesse yesterday on our pod, and he said, "Oh, it's around on the Bleeding Burgundy." Sorry, he said it's around. We used it on signings on our draft picks, and I was like, I thought that was already took care of, because I remember us having 15 mil, and then that suddenly disappeared to somewhere.
I thought the draft picks take about 8 mil.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and I thought that was already taken care of. So we've created $6.5 million in cap space. So we just over 7 million because Charles Leno's restructured his contract. He's tacked on 3 voyage years at the end of his contract, and a bit of his salary this year. I think 90% of his salary this year has come up in a signing bonus, and the same for next year. They've put 90% of his salary.
I'm finally starting to make moves like every other team tends to.
Correct. Yeah.
So we don't normally do stuff like
that. Isn't it mad when you've got an adult in the room? Yeah, exactly.
A guy who's willing to put out the cash up front. Obviously Dan Snyder wasn't going to do that. He wasn't putting Leno's whatever it is, 8 million or whatever it was up front.
Yeah, exactly.
He wasn't going to do that. He's like, no, you can wait for it over the year. Josh comes in with all his boys, and it's like, yeah, well, what can we do? Well, we can restructure this guy, restructure that guy. You never know. You might see somebody else be restructured as well.
Yeah, the capologist, obviously, we always said this. He is your number one person on the personnel side, because if that cap's not right, then you're going to have serious problems. I mean, there's loads and loads of teams out there who finesse it all the time. Look at New Orleans. They're terrible. They're terrible for it. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that move's been happening. What do you think that's for, Scouts? Do you think it's for an offensive lineman? Do you think it's just for a little bit of cap space there? Are we looking to sign someone, or is this Cam Curl?
I think we are looking to sign someone. I think, at the 6-7 mil per year range, I think you might be able to get somebody like reasonable for that kind of corn. So personally, for me, I'd rather get Cam Curl taken off.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I had to choose one, with this 7 mil right now and the rest of it, and et cetera, then I'd rather get Cam Curl sorted than he's 7 million bonus or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you push 5 in it and say here's 5, because you've got to always have a little bit back, haven't you?
Yeah, just to pick somebody else up or something like that. From
here's 5 in a bonus, and we'll give you.
And don't forget, most of the cap it'll be next year for Cam. But
it'll be next year and the year before.
Let's sign up. Let's give you a 5 or 6, even a 6-year extension, and go. There's some money up front just to keep you happy, because you're not getting paid well this year, because he isn't. He's getting like 2 mil or something ridiculous.
Yeah, so if you've got his 2 mil and you said, right, let's convert your 2 mil that you've got so far, we'll add another 4 on top of that, give you 6 up front completely, and then maybe sign him on to, I don't know, a 20. If you can get him for about, well, I don't know, 18 mil a year, that'd be amazing.
I'm hoping you get him cheap, but as in like for me, cheap's like 15. That's cheap.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think you're looking around the 18 mil mark, to be honest with you. I really do think you're up there. I don't think he's worth I'm not saying he's not worth it, but in the terms of player recognition, if we're going to go that route, he's not a 20. He's not a 20 nationally, yeah. He's not a 20 million a year player for me.
None of the safeties are 20 million per year yet.
I thought they were. I thought the top one was on 20.
James is, I think he was highest at 19 something.
Was he on 19?
So none of these guys are actually 20 plus yet. So again, as like quarterbacks and we'll move the market, they'll maybe go to 20 mil. But I do think that's a touch high for him, I think. I mean, don't get me wrong, if I could afford to give him it, I'd give him it because he's that good. But I mean, hopefully we can be a little
we're so far looking at, we've got 104 million next year, Scouse. So we need to start.
Yeah, but don't forget that we got to look at Sam Howell's contract.
I know.
He's going to cost an absolute bomb. If he's any good, he's going to want at least 30 mil per year minimum.
That's true.
Minimum.
So G Reese 5 has asked us, why hasn't Ron signed Kyle Van Noy yet?
Because he's not that good and he's past it. To be fair, that's the problem. And he doesn't. Ron doesn't rate linebackers for some reason. He doesn't think it's an important position anymore. And it's quite harsh, really, considering that him and Jack Del Rio were actually linebackers when they were players. So
I know, isn't it crazy how they just don't devalue the position?
We can play a DB there, we can play curl in there, we can do this and that. Position flex and all this thing. Yeah, I get it. But the thing is, end of the day, these guys aren't designed to get bashed every single play, which is what linebackers do. Do you know what I mean? They're getting involved in all the plays. Like Cam Curl is a safety. Yes. Can he play box? Yes. Can he play even some linebacker a little bit? Yeah, sure he can. But he's not built for that. He's going to get hurt. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's like I'd rather, would I have Kyle Van Noy getting hurt instead of Cam Curl? Hell yeah, I would. But Van Noy's past it. He's 32 and he's an outside backer. We don't really play too many outside backers, so.
You're playing one or two at the most, yeah.
So there's no, DBs are going to cover the outside a lot more than Van Noy would need to be out there, if that makes sense. He needs to be more in the middle, he would. But he's not really a linebacker, so.
Yeah. Next question we've got here, Scouse, is from the Podfather, Kyle. So cheers, Kyle. Thanks for putting this one in. We've got which surprise player has a great game on Sunday?
Surprise player. I'm going to say Dyami Brown this week.
Dyami Brown.
Yeah.
Good shout. I thought he came in and played quite well. Yeah, I thought he played quite well.
He's under the radar because he's wide receiver 4. Let's face it. So, so for me, it's going to be him. I think he's just going to come up with maybe, like 3 receptions, but something like 50 yards and a touchdown, something like that. One over the top bomb type thing, and just get us to win basically because we're going to win by less than 7, I think, personally. So, and I think that he'd be like he was good. You know what I mean? Like an heralded guy, whatever you want to call it.
Unheralded, yeah. Here's one for you then, Scouse. I'm going to go with Jamison Crowder. I think we get a big return. So I think, I think he will. Yeah.
He fell over the ball last week. You know what I mean?
Come on, now he wasn't that bad.
He is,
but yeah, he's a bit better than Dax Milne. I'll give him that. I think we get a heavy return. Him, Cole Turner, you could take as the low hanging fruit. I think Cole Turner will have a good game in Mile High. From a DB side, where do you go? It could be anybody. It really could be.
Quan's still pushing, isn't he? So we can't see him playing. So Quan won't play.
Quan won't play. No, he didn't get a single snap on.
Young was limited, Sunday. Wasn't he? And he was the one who's limited. It was Samuel, wasn't it?
Curtis Samuel, yeah.
Hip. So again,
so that makes your Dyami Brown shout quite good, mate. I'm telling you, that's a decent one.
He gets upgraded to wide receiver 3. Let's see how it rolls.
I'll go Crowder. I don't know why. I think it's about time we returned the ball for a touchdown.
That's funny. I'll pick Crowder. I don't know why. I just will.
Just will, because I think he's going to do it. He's going to have a good game. There you go. Which surprise player, remember? So we're on to Canada Mike's questions. Thank you, Canada Mike. I've seen you on everybody's podcast at the minute. sending them in. Really appreciate you, mate. Thanks for doing what you're doing. And we do appreciate you. We know that you also do speak to your wife. It's not just us every Thursday. So Canada Mike's first question, he says, Mike Tressway be our most important player, not for his punting, but for his holding and saving bad snaps.
Well, I think Tressway's been our MVP for the past 4 years. Let's face it, he really has. You know, he's unbelievable as a kicker, and I say he is safe as houses with his hands and holding. I mean, some of the snaps he's dealing with at the moment is a joke from
Cheeseman needs to sort his life out.
Cheeseman, because last year he was okay. I don't understand why all of a sudden he's trying to do a new technique, and now they're just skimming along the floor, and it's like eventually Tress is going to drop one of them, and that's the end of the play.
So it's velocity, apparently. He's saying he wants to put more velocity on the ball, but I don't know. I'm the same with you. What was wrong with the technique?
That 0.2 of a second, maybe, if you absolutely launch it back compared to what he normally does, because he's throwing at a decent pace anyway.
Yeah, I know.
I don't understand. There's something going on mentally with Cheeseman. Definitely is.
Do you think there needs to be competition for him?
One job, just long snapper back to Tress. That's all you got to do, bro. Just give it to his hands. Not the floor.
Do you think there needs to be competition for him, Scouse?
I think it's going to happen if he keeps doing it. I think at the moment, he's safe at the moment. But if this goes on to say week 4, week 5, the same shit, then 100% they'll look at a long snapper coming in. 100%. Because you can't have that all the time. Because I mean, it's ridiculous that way makes it look so easy with his hands to keep it and to get the ball up right and spin it in the right place and all that. All within that, like literally a 1 second. It's unreal how he does it. I just think there's going to be a time where it's just going to slip out of his hands, or it's going to bounce out of his hands because of a shit snap. So he needs to get a grip of himself, Cheeseman.
Which is better, our pass protection or creating holes for our running backs to make decent gains?
I think Joey's still out, really.
Yeah, neither.
Yeah, neither. Yeah, I mean, if you go back with rewatching the game again, yeah, we did create some holes. So at the moment, you'd say maybe it's the run and the holes that we're creating. We're just not utilizing them because the running backs aren't seeing them. But again, I wouldn't rate any of them over each other just yet. It's just way too early. We need to know kind of give me that question, maybe say week 4, and then I'll be able to tell you more about it, what we're really about. But at the moment, it's quite a tough one to truly gauge.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think pass pro we did better than I thought we were going to do, and I think that's what let us down last year was pass pro.
You know what I mean? So these shocking. Kind of mess with your head, don't they? You know what
they do, but 4 of them sacks you can't really blame the offensive line. One of them, Brian Robinson trips over bloody Sadiq Charles's foot. One of them was on Nick Gates, yeah, fine. One was absolutely on Wiley, no problem with that. And then the others is because Sam Howell's holding the ball too long. You know,
again, so with the holding of the ball, I mean, for me, it's kind of like there's obviously a lot of reasons for why he's holding the ball long. Is it he's waiting for Terry to get open deep, or is it more along the lines of he's not seeing anybody because they're not open? So he holds on for the extra second, and then by then the guy's in his face and he fumbles it or gets hit.
I think you were right with what you said on the bunker yesterday. You know, it was about the route running and trusting the runners. He's young. We've got to remember, I was talking to Parker about this and he was shitting himself sat next to me. And I just said to him, like, he genuinely was. And he don't mind me saying that. And I said to him, look, you just got to trust it. Trust the process here. He's a young man. How much pressure is on his shoulders? There's 64,000 people screaming at him. It's a sellout game. He's got the keys to the city. This is his team. So much pressure on the young man there. And it's what is really his second game ever. And you're thinking, brand new season, brand new offensive coordinator. Have I learned everything? Have I put all this effort in and everything is on my shoulders and I'm the guy? You might just think that the nerves tend to get the better of you just ever so slightly. You know, as you pointed out, Patrick Mahomes is out there throwing the ball out to the sideline before the runners even broke for his route. You know, the best of the best will do that. And that's going to take Sam a little bit of time to adjust to that. We have to remember, stick with him, stick on the train. He's going to have his lumps. He's a young guy. We've got a rookie QB
100%.
for want of a better term.
And this is why, I mean, and I hate the kind to use the Mahomes
I know.
comparison, because he's not at his level. But the
No,
thing is, it's like, could he be up there? He could be. But again, at this moment, I don't want to put that pressure on, extra pressure.
no.
By the way, you've got to be the next Mahomes. It's just a nightmare for a kid to try and live with that, with everybody else.
Sam has the potential to be a top 15 quarterback, which is what we need. He has the ceiling to make a top 5 quarterback, absolutely, in my opinion. But it's going to take him a long time to get there. And we just have to deal with that for a while. If he can come out with top 15 QB play, we're golden. The O-line was 11th overall, apparently, over the weekend, which, okay, it's not amazing, but it's not awful at the same time. And he was the highest rated quarterback in the NFC East. So he's not doing anything really that bad, to be honest with you, even though he took 6 sacks. So just stick with Sam Howell, and we're going to be okay.
Because he was running as well, and he took a
loss.
Of
course.
So when you take a loss, it's still classed as a sack. So So I mean, so I do get that, and sometimes the numbers can be deceiving.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. But as I say, do you know what? Do you know the interesting status that I read today?
Go on.
If Howell actually scores a passing TD and another rushing TD in the next game, he'd be the first quarterback in NFL history to do it.
To do it 3 in a row.
Three in his very first 3 games as a starter.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, the last question from Canada, Mike, is Sunday, if we are 2 points down, last play on the 45, throw it to the end zone or roll the dice with Sly in Mile High? I think he knows you've got a thing about Sly. That's what it is.
So the 45-yard line on our side.
Yeah, we're at the 40. No, we're at the 45.
So we're about like 60, 65 yards, something like that.
It'd be about 55, wouldn't it? 55 of that. Maybe 57.
I think it's a lot further than that.
If we're at
45-yard line.
No, we're at they're 45, driving towards the end zone.
It's easy. Yeah, that's going to be a Sly Guy kick for sure.
About 56, I think.
Mile High has thin air, so you can get longer kicks out of it. So, I reckon he's probably thinking our 45-yard line, which is, so it's going to be something like a 68-yarder or something like that, something crazy.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Which again, you'd probably give him. He's got the leg, so that. And if it's your last second play and that's all you've got left, that or a Hail Mary, and you only need a field goal to win, go for the field goal, see what happens.
Agree. I think if it's our 45, that's tight.
It's going to ask a lot, but
yeah,
these kickers have somehow done it before, hitting the mid-60s. Justin Tucker, 68 yards, I think, one time.
And they weren't at altitude as well. So.
That's what I mean. So and Joey's got the leg. I mean, that's the thing he does have is powerful leg. He's just inconsistent. But yeah, it would be an interesting call, I'll tell you.
It would be.
I'd rather take that. I'd rather take the shot and see how it goes rather than go for the Hail Mary, because that's just pure luck. At least with a field goal, you've got a little bit more control of it, I suppose. Not massively, but a little bit more, maybe 2% more than a Hail Mary. But
depends how far you're out on what down you're on, and because you could fake a field goal.
Yeah, but on your own 45, though, that means you've got to hit the end zone. I said, like you've got to get out, you've got to get the ball and get to the end zone in that one play.
He did say last play.
Okay, very last play, couple of seconds to go, so it's got to be.
No, and you ain't got time to set it up further down the road.
Oh, so. You couldn't take a knee or run out or anything like that in time. So it's just one play you've got left, unless barring a penalty, we get another play. But yeah, for me, I'd have to take the shot for the field goal.
And the very last question we've got today is from Andy Burrows from the Bunker Podcast. If you haven't subscribed, go and listen to Andy. We've got why can't I drink Guinness? So funny story, or not so funny for me.
This guy here.
Yeah, obviously, I decided in my infinite wisdom in Dublin to have a pint of Guinness because it's the right stuff to drink while you're out there. Not the same stuff that we get here in the UK. Now, I'm not a big drinker. I'm not a big Guinness drinker either, but I do like a nice pint when we're in Dublin. So I thought I'll get a quick pint in, and I had that and sank that, and it went down very quickly. And I thought, oh, this is all right. And I think both you boys thought, oh my God, has Scott upped his drinking game here? What's going on?
That's it.
And then the next thing, Burrows comes back from the bar with another one. I thought, well, that's decent. I'll have that. And that went down quite quickly. And then you went to the bar and then another one came, and I thought, man, that was nice as well. That came down quite quickly. And obviously we know what Guinness is like. It's a meal in itself. And 25-ish, 30 minutes into the flight, I was feeling it quite heavily. And for the next probably 2.5 hours, I was up and down like you've never seen before. And I was sick everywhere. It was not a good place to be. Just could not stop being sick. So didn't feel great. Did not feel great for the first probably 3 hours of that flight. But apart from that, it was great. By the time we touched down, I was all right again. I was quite happy.
Just learn your lesson, bro. Just don't hang with the big boys. You know what I mean?
That's it. I can't. I can't. I know that. But there you go.
Don't do it.
There you go. So we'll be back again this time next Thursday. Thanks everyone who sent a question in. We really appreciate it. I know we missed a week. Obviously, we're traveling and other things. We are back now, and we're regularly going to be back on. We haven't done our predictions for the weekend, which I nearly forgot about there. So what do you think's the prediction for this weekend then, Scouse? What are you going with?
I'm going to go 24-17.
Oh. Commanders win 24-17.
Commanders win. Of course, I'm not going to back Denver. Fucking balls.
So, I had this down as a win, I think, in our predictions as well. I had us going 2-0. I'm going to go... I'm trying to think here. 27-20. So not far from you, but I think we get an extra field goal there just to ice it probably in the fourth quarter. But another win and 2-0 and another victory podcast next week, hopefully. Thanks for sticking with us, everyone. We really appreciate it. Again, downloads and subscriptions, massive. It's gone through the roof again. We don't know if it's because we've been the only voice that's been around during the off season, but we really appreciate you sticking around with us. Over 1,000 last week, which was all week before, which is incredible, really. We're just two dudes just chopsing it up for 45 minutes to an hour at a time. This is our time, really, to have a bit of fun. And, if you like listening to us, great. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. We've got no problem with that. People have reached out about the merchandise as well, and we will have something dropping soon about that. I promise you. Just going to take a little bit of time to try and get the boxes ticked and the I's and T's crossed. And as soon as we can get that done, we will bring it forward on the pod. Thanks, everyone, again, and we will see you next time.
Bye.